Hello everybody, this is Greg and Jake with Fabric Bash and Bearded Embroidery. Today we will be doing Kimberbell March block. A little bit different, we're pre-recording it as opposed to doing it live.
That is what the March block looks like.
So it's a pretty easy block this time. We got 3 fabrics that we need to use. So we have an 8x10 cut of the background fabric, a 2x3 cut for the flowers, and then I believe what is this? A 4.5 by a 3.5 cut for another flower. Just as before, we are going to be doing the quilting as we go in the hoop. So we will load up our design right here. And since I am doing the quilting as we go, we have to make sure we load the background stitching first. And then we have to add the other design on top of it and make sure they're lined up. My machine does a pretty good job of it for me already. So they're already centered on each other. So we're just going to jump right into it. First thing going down is the batting placement line. So we are going to do that in any color thread. I'm just starting with a cream, because that's what I'm going to be doing for my background stitching. Right now it doesn't necessarily matter, but alright, so now we are going to do our batting tack down line. And I'm not going to tape the batting down just because it's pretty stable on that batting, or on that backing, as is. Alright, so we got our batting placement line down and we've got it trimmed up a little bit just to clean it up. We are now going to be putting our background fabric placement line down. It's pretty obvious where it's going to go, but it's still a step the machine wants to do, so. Alright, so we have our background placement line down. Like I said, it's pretty obvious where it's going to end up going. But we're going to make sure we have this background fabric right side up. It's a white on white. Just make sure. Got it right. And we are going to go ahead and tape this down, because why not? Just a little bit of tape. Right, and time for the background tack down line. All right, the background tack down line is now all done. Now we're going to go on to the actual stitching of our background. We're going to be using the same cream thread that we've been using all throughout the videos, just because we think it works well on this neutral background. So we will go ahead and get that started. All right, so we got our yellow thread loaded in there for our next flower, but what we need to do first is skip a couple steps if we did our background quilting. If we didn't do our background quilting, this will be what you start at for placing your background fabric, but we already have done that, so we need to skip a couple steps. We're gonna skip 1 and 2. So now we are going to be putting down our placement line for our flower fabric. All right, so the placement line is down. Now we are going to be using fabric 1, or fabric 2 for flower 1. We're going to go ahead and put that down. We're going to tape this down. I'm going to do all 4 edges just to be safe. Don't want this moving on me at all. All right, we got it all taped down. Don't worry if your tape is going to get stitched over or anything like that. Really easy to peel out around. So we're going to go ahead and stitch our tack down line. All right, and now we are doing the most fun part. We are taking the hoop off and trimming it. So whenever we take our hoop off, we got to be careful and grab onto whatever mechanism your hoop uses to go onto your machine to make sure we don't move it as we pull it off. We also got to make sure to grab by the hoop edges and not by the stabilizer at all so it doesn't move on us.
Yeah, so when we put this down, we want to make sure we put it down on a nice flat surface so that it does not shift in our hoop while we're trimming. And then just to be as careful as possible that it does not shift so your design doesn't get off. All right, so we're gonna trim as close to the stitch line as possible, but not so close that the fabric comes away from the stitching. Get yourself a nice sharp pair of scissors, because that helps a lot so you don't have frayed edges when you're trimming this. So I'm using like a double curved scissor here, so it's got a curve at the blade and then a curve on the handle, but the curve really helps get nice and flat against these stitch lines. And then take your time. Rotate your hoop if you need to, so you're not cutting in an awkward angle. That's visible. Greg stitched down some tape, so we're gonna have to clean that out.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to clean up.
Get very good at this applique technique with this project.
Oh yeah, we do a lot of it, especially around tight corners with flowers and that kind of thing.
Love these tiny points.
Yeah, definitely something with a good point like those curved scissors. Just nice here. All right, so we're all trimmed up. Definitely takes a little bit of time, but go slowly on it and make sure you do it well, because if we have bad trimming, then our stitching can't cover up frayed fabric and not cut enough close to the line. So take your time on it. We're now going to be doing the satin stitch for our raw edge to cover it. So we will go ahead and start that now. All right, so the decorations on the flowers are all done, at least in the cream. So we're gonna load it in our dark green now. And we're gonna be doing some more decorations. If you have a thread cutter, that step took a little bit longer than expected, but it's all good. Get our dark green loaded, and now we're going to be doing the stems of the flowers that we just did. So we'll get that started. All right, all the dark green stems and decorations are done, so we are going to go ahead and switch to our pink thread. We're going to be doing our second flower next, and it is our only remaining fabric that we're going to be using. So we're going to go ahead and load that in. Get going on it with the fabric placement line first.
This one's gonna be fun to trim.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to put our fabric down. It's a pretty small piece of fabric, so we really want to make sure it doesn't move. Got some pretty big piece of tape here, but that's fine. And now we are going to put the stitch down line. I'm blanking on the name.
Tack it down.
Tack down line, there we go. All right, so we're gonna take it off of our machine, being very careful taking the hoop off, not grabbing by the stabilizer. And this flower has quite a few small points, so definitely take your time trimming this. Getting in those small corners, we don't want to break those stitches or anything like that.
Yes, very small places. So take your time.
All right, we're all done trimming and keeping our pink thread loaded. We're going to be doing the decorative satin stitch around the outside of the leaves. Holding on to our arm as we put our hoop back on. We will get that decorative satin stitch going. All right, and with that step all done, we are done with our pink thread. So we are going to switch to a light green now. We're going to be doing some more stem details. All right, we're getting there. We got 2 more steps. We are all done with our light green, and we're going to switch to our purple blue. That came in our thread kit. Come on, there we go. All right, now we're gonna be doing the buds of the 3rd flower. All right, so on to our last step. We're going to be switching back to our dark green. We just have a few more stem details to do, so we will go ahead and get those finished up, and then we will be all done with this block. Keep in mind that we have to do 2 of this block, just like every other one we've done so far.
We will have to trim this down at some point as well.
Yes. We'll go to get started. All right, and just like that, we are all done with our March block for the Kimberbell Mystery wall hanging. Got a little bit of trimming to do on some of the threads.
Yeah.
But then trim the block down to 6.5 by 8.5. You could either use the orange pop rulers that we showed off last time, or just a regular ruler and rotary cutter. If you did miss that one last time, it will be linked below on both the YouTube and Facebook. So,
All right.
yeah.
Stay tuned for the next one.
Yep, first Friday of every month. So get ready for the April one.